Hello. So I was just doing a live Instagram with Hollis Chitto, and it looks like either my internet or his internet cut out for a second. So let me go ahead and add him back in. Apologies for that. I think this is just the era that we're living throughout online programming. Um, so hopefully he'll be able to join shortly.
I
Hello.
guess.
That is such a classic moment in the era that we're living in, I think.
Oh, totally. And here I said the most brilliant thing I've ever said in my life, so totally fine.
I know, and then the video wouldn't even save, so we don't have it archived.
Oh, darn
You'll just have to repeat verbatim what you said.
it.
Um, well, I think what we were talking about, well, for those of you who maybe are just joining in now, we're currently having a SAR Artist Lab program through SAR, the School for Advanced Research, with Hollis Chitto, who is a very accomplished quillwork and beadwork artist. And we were just sort of going over a little bit about his practice and background and his life during the pandemic as well. Um, so yeah, I don't know exactly where you were once we cut out, but
I think we were talking about, oh, why I couldn't finish a project.
yes, you were talking about
Yes.
the bell curve taking place in your class.
Yeah. And for me, I, what I was talking about was that at the beginning of a project, I always love it. And then I start hating it the more I spend time with it. And then towards the end, I love it again. And I'm at the point where I know that it's gonna happen, so hating it doesn't scare me anymore.
Mm,
But I think during the pandemic, since I didn't have an end goal, like a deadline to meet, or I didn't have to make this piece for something, um, I kind of let that get the better of me, and so I would start hitting a piece and then go straight to another piece because maybe I'll like that one better.
right. And just to clarify for maybe those of our viewers who weren't here a little bit earlier, you were saying that you were specifically making pieces for Echo a Mano, the gallery in Santa Fe.
Yeah,
Okay, this past year.
yeah. Those pieces are fun just because they're small. Um, for Echo Amano, I mostly do jewelry or wearable art. So it's a lot easier to finish a piece, think of a piece, finish it in a day or a couple of days. So it's less daunting than having a large piece.
Right. I mean, I happened to run into you at Indian Market, I think on Saturday, and you had this incredible bandolier bag that you said that you hand sewed and hand stitched, hand beaded. Um, so when did you get into that medium? And I guess how do you balance doing like the major sort of collector's pieces as well as more affordable works for the general public?
Um, that one I made, that was the first bandolier bag that I had ever made. And I made that one for the Herd show right before everything shut down. Um, and I usually kind of section off my year based on the art shows. So maybe like a month or 2 months before the Herd show, I'm working on a big piece. And a month before Indian Market, I'm working on a big piece. And then between Indian Market and the Cherokee show, which is in October, I'll work on a big piece.
Mm,
Um, I've kind of gotten it down so that I can like schedule myself out like that. And in between that, I'll work on either smaller pieces or passion projects or pieces for my family or for my friends. Um, and it just kind of depends on what motivation I have. Um, so luckily, I have that schedule for myself, and I think that's what kind of threw me off during the shutdown when there was no art shows was that everything got shifted.
Right, and there weren't those clear deadlines to kind of propel you and keep you moving.
Exactly, yeah.
Do you feel like you use the pandemic to kind of maybe experiment creatively or get into different styles that you wouldn't have time to try out otherwise?
I did, yeah. I started kind of working more with different techniques that aren't strictly like bead embroidery. So I started working more on like peyote stitch because I'm really awful at it. So I started working on that and pearl knotting, and I got really fast at that, so I can like make necklaces to put pieces on, or wire wrapping, and I can use that to decorate kind of the ends of beadwork. It's really helpful because I usually like to practice things a lot of the time. I have a lot of I have like a drawer that's just full of pieces that I practiced on. They're like scraps of fabric or leather or something that I practiced different techniques on.
Hmm,
And so it was definitely a lot of that during the during the shutdown, during the pandemic and everything.
that is very cool. Yeah. Have you started incorporating some of those works into like what you were showing at Indian Market, for example, or you're still trying to refine them moving forward?
Yeah, I did. I had a necklace at Indian Market that sold on Saturday, and it was a pearl knotted necklace with a pendant on it, and it was like last minute. I had time for one more thing to finish, and I knotted that necklace, and the the person who bought it actually was trying it on with and without the pendant, which I thought was really cool because
Interesting.
before I would just put a pendant on like a chain and just kind of call it a day. But just kind of having that next to it is kind of elevating, which I love.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess I'm also curious, given that you know all these different kinds of techniques and you learned beadwork out of a textbook itself and you know kind of like taught yourself these um, very intensive styles and practices. Do you ever study from museum collections, or do you tend to work a little bit more from books, or now today from other beadwork artists that you admire, or how do you sort of go about gaining inspiration in that sense?
All
All of the above.
all of the above. Um, I uh, I was just talking about this weekend that um, every time there's like an art show, I always get super um, motivated to start beading because like just looking at everything, and not even just beadwork but paintings and sculpture and all of it is such a motivator for cool ideas. I kind of I don't know, I kind of love it. But everywhere I go, everywhere I travel to, I always go to a museum, I always go to a bead shop, and I always go to a fabric shop. And um, that's always my thing, is that I have to go get some inspiration here, see what they have here that I can use that I've never seen before, and then go to the fabric shop to see how I can use both of those ideas um, with maybe some new materials that I've never seen, or maybe new techniques, because there's always people in fabric shops that are like, oh, I'm working on this smocking or something, you know, something like that. Um, I uh, did definitely get a lot of inspiration from the um, the I think it was Chanel. It was either Chanel or Dior that were doing uh, like behind the scenes videos of their haute couture collections,
Ooh, okay.
and so that's always fun to watch for me. Like I could just put that on and kind of zone out because there's so many different beading techniques and embroidery techniques that I would never think of. And then that kind of helps me think of different ways to use that in a totally new way.
Hmm. Do you have aspirations to maybe get into the clothing making high fashion field, or are you happy with sort of the niche that you've worked for yourself so far?
Yeah, I think so. It's I used to work for Orlando Dugai. He's a designer, and I used to do the beadwork for him and hand sew a little bit. And just seeing how much work goes into one piece is just crazy. I don't know if I could do that all in one.
Did you did he have a collection just this past Sunday at Indian Market?
He did, yeah,
Okay. I,
yeah,
so yeah, his collection was incredible.
yeah.
I didn't get to see it up close, like I'm sure you did when you were working on his previous.
Yeah, his work is always amazing, and he was really cool because um, he would let he would let me just kind of he would give me like an outline and say go, and I really loved that. And he taught me how to do clover beadwork. It's almost like tambour, but it's upside down, so it's kind of interesting. It's like using a little latch hook almost,
Okay.
and you kind of work with it where the material's stretched out. It's really cool. I don't know if I can remember, but I can. It was really valuable, that technique and all the knowledge that I gained from him. But uh, coming back to the original question, that I did start sewing more during pandemic as well,
Okay.
and I made like when I first when everything first shut down, I made myself a silk bomber jacket just because I thought it was like so stupid with like a matching mask.
So cool too.
It's pretty cool, I have to admit. But I was like, oh, am I gonna even need like a matching mask this winter when it's like cold enough to wear my jacket? Like, of course, like, yeah. If only I'd known.
We were so silly back then.
I, so yeah, it's a lot of fun constructing pieces and patterning out and drafting. So I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I will.
That's really cool. Did you end up beating the jacket too, or was it just the silk jacket itself?
Just the silk jacket. I chickened out, I think.
Um, well, I guess just another question I have. Um, oh, and we have a comment from Ian. He says you were supposed to do a trade with him before pandemic.
I totally was. Yes.
Well, maybe you can make him a bomber jacket
That
and
would be.
call it good. Um, yeah, so given that the first segment of this video cut out, I just want to reiterate the fact that you've been profiled in the Huffington Post and First American Art Magazine, New Mexico Magazine, Vogue, in addition, InStyle. I'm just wondering how it feels to have your work so visible and so publicly admired at this point, especially given that you've been showing at Indian Market since you were 5. Like, does it feel like a natural sort of accumulation of press, or is it still surprising?
It's still surprising.
Okay.
Uh, my imposter syndrome is going crazy right now. So, but yeah, no, I'm incredibly honored by all of it. I think it kind of really started out with uh, Christian from Vogue.com doing the native beaters to follow right now or something. It was like 2018, I believe. But that's kind of what started everything off. I did that, and then I got approached from Santa Fe or New Mexico Magazine to do a piece for them that Nina Sanders interviewed me for. Then this past year, it's just kind of been going full speed, which is a little intimidating, but I'm very honored and humbled by it. It makes me really happy because at first I didn't know if I could sustain beadwork as like a practice that kind of kept me under a roof and clothed and fed and stuff. So it's really nice to kind of be cemented in that way.
How did you come about getting your bandolier bag on the cover of InStyle recently?
Um, they contacted me through Instagram actually.
Really?
Um,
Wow, amazing.
yeah, basically it was, hi Hollis, my name is so and so from InStyle. We're doing a shoot with Deb Holland, and I said anything you want. How can I help? And so we kind of just started talking. Uh, I sent pictures of everything I had at that point. I I borrowed from the gallery, from Echo Amano, from the other gallery I'm in, True West. I actually borrowed a couple pieces from collectors in town,
Okay.
and they picked 14 pieces. They said, we need it. Can you do it today? We need it next day delivery. So I packed everything up, packed 14 pieces up, sent it out there. Um, After I sent it out, my mom was like, do we know this is legit? Like, this is legit, right?
Did you scam Hollis?
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, oh no. But I saw a few other beaters posting that were like, off to New York and stuff. So that was really cool. It made me kind of like worry for maybe like 5 seconds. Then I was like, no, I do know this is legit. I'm following her. This is good.
I think that is so incredible. The fact that you have your piece right up there, Deb Holland sporting it on the cover. I mean, that's quite an accomplishment. I hope you got a couple of framed magazines.
I have a couple magazines. I need to frame them. But yeah, I was super, super honored. She's doing amazing work, and it was incredible just to be able to kind of clothe her. You know, like as Native people, it's an honor always just to be part of their regalia or to help clothe them. And so it was nice to be able to do that for her, and especially because she's from Laguna, the same Pueblo I'm from. So it's like we have that kind of connection that I thought was really cool. And then to have it on the cover was just amazing, and I couldn't believe it.
Well, congratulations. That is such an honor. That's really incredible. And it kind of dovetails into the fact that you were saying recently you decided to sort of, I guess, like curtail your work into making sure that everything you do is like culturally relevant or has some kind of statement to go along with it, but it's not just like a pretty piece. So I guess I'm curious about other works that you've done that maybe have a bit more of that kind of um, not like a serious element, but something that is driving the work, is driving that process.
Yeah. Um, well, that piece in particular, I made that and I named it Chata Numpa in my accent. And that means the Choctaw language in my accent. Because at the time I was trying to teach myself Choctaw, which is my dad's first language. And I had just read an article about language development and how after I think the age of 10, if you learn a language, you'll always have an accent in that language from your original language. Something about how your sounds develop and how you're able to create the sounds. And so I just kind of thought about how once I learn it, I'm always going to have the accent that I have right now in that accent. Um, and so I wanted to kind of represent that visually. And so it's a traditional Choctaw bandolier bag, but with kind of my style on it, my kind of spin. So it's not traditional. It's not completely traditionally Choctaw, and it's not completely mine. It's kind of an amalgamation of both. And so that's kind of what I was thinking of when I went through it. But yeah, that was a really fun one to think through, I think.
That's really beautiful. How did you go about learning the construction for creating a bandolier bag?
Um, I don't know.
I'm sure there's no answer for that.
Yeah, the only part that I had trouble with was this joining the straps to the bag, because of all the research that I did, there's no way to do it without just being like a couple stitches and saying good luck.
Okay.
So I asked my friend Kenny Glass. He's a Cherokee textile artist, and he makes a lot of bandolier bags. And I asked him, and he showed me how he does it, which is with like a ring, or he does just sew it on, and it kind of really works, kind of really elegantly. And so I kind of took that, and on mine you can see I used brain tan buckskin ties, and that's just kind of the way I wanted to incorporate that.
Beautiful. I'll have to zoom in on the cover and try to see if I can. So with all, do you ever do commissions for museums of like direct copies of prehistoric or historic works, or do you only sort of blend your own contemporary unique style with sort of older forms and kind of elevate those in your own special way?
I haven't been approached by a museum to do that yet. I think with what I do, I'm not going to be able to take myself out of it.
Yeah.
And I kind of respect the person who made the original to the point that there's no way I can top it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I kind of always held the old beaters or the old masters to like a point where I'm like, they did amazing work at that time, and I'm trying to do what I can in this time. And I don't think, like, I'm not saying anything about people who do that, but for me, I don't think it would be a good use of time for me.
Yeah, that does make sense. You just have a different journey you're going with your work and with your practice, and
Exactly.
I respect that for sure. I guess, yeah, in terms of where you see your art moving in the near future, and especially given that this past year you've been practicing and studying different forms of sewing and new styles of beadwork, are there any projects that you're especially excited about tackling in the coming months?
Yes. There's a piece that I started for this last Indian market that I didn't get to finish. And it's right now it's like looking at me right, right. And I can't wait to finish it.
Can you hold it up, or can we see a sneak peek of it, or is it too far away?
It's I don't really like giving sneak peeks. Otherwise, I would, but it's gonna be a frame bag. It has an antique purse frame that one of my good friends gave to me, and so I wanted to kind of honor it in a way that makes them proud and myself proud as well. And so it's one of the first times that I've used elements of the frame in the design, and the background is kind of really different from what I usually do. So that's one of the things that I'm really looking forward to. But also, I just got the artist in residence for IIA. And so for the next month, I'm going to be working on something. I think it's going to be a self-sculpture, but I think that's what I'm going to do. And it's going to be a lot different. If it goes according to plan, it's going to be a lot different from all the other self-sculptures that I've done. In that it's going to have movement, like it's not going to be static on 2 feet, you know.
Okay. This is so intriguing.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see how that pans out. Is that going to be in person upstairs in Mokna, or are you going to be working remotely at home in your studio?
It's actually going to be in person at on campus at II.
Oh, great. Okay. That'll be really cool.
I'm looking forward to that because I've never had like a dedicated studio space. Um, I'm like in my house, like there's my clothes, you know? So I'm excited to see how it is working in a space that I can like spread out.
And that's for a full month coming up.
Yeah, yeah. Starting in September.
Okay, so we've got 5 days to pack up and
Exactly. Yeah.
get yourself
Just
on.
move everything over there.
Well, that is really incredible. If any of our viewers wanted to sort of keep tabs on the work that you're doing and what you're sort of presenting to the public, is Instagram the best way to do that?
Instagram is definitely the best way. I'm on Facebook basically just to get tagged in things.
Okay.
I don't have a website just because I can't keep things in stock enough to take a picture and put it on there and write descriptions and stuff. It just doesn't. Plus, I hate being on the computer.
Sorry to make you do this then.
No, I love being on my phone. I hate being on the computer.
There's a fine line between the two. I agree.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, Instagram is probably the best way.
Okay, that is great news. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. It's already gone a little bit over our 30-minute mark here.
I don't know.
But I guess if there's any other sort of upcoming events that you're going to be involved in, I'm sure our viewers and future people watching this would love to know about, where to sort of see you coming up. I mean, you're going to be at II in the next month.
II in the next month. I'm planning on doing the Herd show. Hopefully that's still going to happen in Phoenix in March. So I'll be looking forward to that. And besides that, I have a few collaborations that I've been talking with people about doing. I don't know how much they want me to tell, but otherwise I think, yeah, that's about it. I don't really plan too far in advance except for shows, and that's the Herd show and the Indian market after that.
Okay, that is great. And once, or if those collaborations pan out, I'm sure you'll post them to your Instagram, and so we can see all the great work you're doing then.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Okay, well, yeah, again, don't want to take up too much of your time. I want to be mindful.
No worries.
But thank you so much for sharing your work with us, sharing your practice with us, and for staying on even when the video inevitably cut out earlier on. And just for those of you who are watching, next one we'll be continuing this SAR Artists Live series as well, and that's going to be the last Wednesday of September. So until then, thank you again, Hollis. This was really nice.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Great, and I look forward to seeing you hopefully at Herd come March.
Definitely. Yeah. All right. Thanks so much.
Goodbye.
Bye.